What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome back to yet another video with your man, Immersioholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the Divided to Para Overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. Today we have your man, Gaius Immersioholicus Julii, whatever, playing as Athens. That's right, I am in this online battle, and I am playing as Athens. And I am taking on our Immersioholic community, Discord community member, NoScope. NoScope is playing as the Illyrians, aka the Ardiaei. I'll basically just refer to them as the Illyrians. This is a very interesting online battle. NoScope apparently hasn't had much online experience, so I decided to pick a faction that I've done almost zero online battles with. I have very little experience with Athens, although this was helpful because I hope to do a faction overview on Athens very soon. I know, exciting stuff. So I thought I would try something I don't really know all that well. He is used to playing as the Illyrians in single player apparently, so that's why he's playing as them. And we'll just see how well we can do here. This will be a fun matchup. We're on a pretty open battle map too. Again, just because he's a bit of a newer online player, I thought it'd be best to keep it relatively open. In saying that though, if you yourself are new to online battles, don't be afraid to jump into our Discord and reach out to either myself or anyone else in our community for online battles. We always try to cater the experience to each person's skill level and change rules accordingly. But for this we didn't really have any rules besides, I think, no more than 4 or 5 types of a single unit. Well, not types, but of a single unit appearing, I guess. But anyway, let's go over the Athenian roster, then we'll go over the Ardiaei roster, and then we'll get into the battle. Timestamps down below, as always. Alright everyone, here we are checking out the Athenian roster, although before we get started, do keep in mind this is using the larger battlefield submod. But anyway, let's get into the roster. On the far left-hand flank of the Athenian army, we have 2 sets of mercenary Therios spears. It'll be interesting to see how well they play off. Then as we continue down the front line, we have more mercenary Therios swords. 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, and 4 units. And on the far right-hand side, we have 2 more sets of mercenary Therios spears. In the second line, we then have 2 sets of Greek javelinmen, very low tier, pleb level stuff. We then have mercenary thorax swords behind them in the third line. On the left-hand flank, we have some Athenian infantry, which is basically like a throwaway levy unit. Behind them, we have a Tarentine cav unit, and then an Athenian elite cav unit, which is a melee cav unit. Tarentines being primarily light melee cav, but they can do quite a lot actually. And then on the far right-hand flank, we have a mirror of our left-hand side. So we have Tarentine cav yet again, Athenian elite cavalry, and another Athenian infantry. And our general over here is just an Athenian bodyguard cav unit, which means that they are a shock cav unit. We are positioned way over here, and we have no units in hiding. So let's go ahead and check out the Illyrians, at least what we can see of their composition. Alright everyone, on the left hand side of the Illyrian army, we have 4 sets of skirmisher cav known as Illyrian light cavalry. These bad boys are javelin cav, but that's 4 of them, that's quite a lot, and they are very fast with a high speed of 8. They were going to be very troublesome for me as I didn't bring skirmishers. Oops. We'll see what happens with that, huh? What could go wrong? Then continuing down the front line, we have Illyrian Seeker Bearers, nice armor-piercing unit, backed up by 2 sets of Illyrian Therios spears. And in the front line, we then have Illyrian Archers, 1, 2, and then 3 units of those, plus a Prusii Archer, which is basically same thing, just with a little bit of better stats across the board. In the second line right here, he then has Thraco Illyrian Elite Infantry, 4 sets of them. Basically a sword slash armor piercing unit, although the AP is pretty low, so more of a sword unit for the Illyrians. Very nice though, and solid armor 38, very tough nut to crack indeed. Far right hand flank, we then have more armor piercing dedicated units with the Seeker Bearers, and then 2 more sets of Therios spearmen, sorry. In the rear, an Illyrian bodyguard cav, which is a heavy melee cav unit. And that is it. That is the army rosters that we have. Let's go ahead and press play. It's going to take us a moment before the armies are close enough to fight, so we'll skip ahead until they're ready. Alright, so as my army begins to march forward towards his to try and get the engagement going, he sends forward his skirmisher cav, 4 sets of them. On my right hand flank I have just my 2 sets of cavalry, 1 set of Athenian levy units behind them. I have my 2 very low tier skirmisher units, and I'm basically trying to keep them at bay right here, although I do send forward more of my cavalry to my right hand flank, and I still only have 1 on my left. So this is going to be a little bit of a song and dance with his cavalry. Again, keep in mind that from my point of view, he's a newer player to online gameplay, so I wasn't really too concerned about this skirmisher cav, but I mean in reality, I really should have been a lot more respectful of these skirmisher cav. Even though they only have javelins, they can actually run away really quickly from my cavalry. My cav is quite heavy, so I probably shouldn't have been so blasé with it. You're going to see me push my men out quite far. I mean, if we get them in a melee engagement, my men will absolutely crush them, but we have to get them in that engagement first. And while all of that's still going on, a little bit of song and dance, like I said, going back and forth, my main line is still pushing forward. What I probably should have done with that instead is keep it back until I could try to deal with his cavalry. Because typically when it comes to skirmisher cav like this, you either jump straight on in and get an engagement with them as quickly as you can, as in like a melee engagement, or you just ignore them completely and get an infantry engagement against their line. However, in this battle, for whatever reason, I forgot that. I was just being, again, a bit too blasé with it, and so I'm going to spread out my forces, which is exactly what anyone who is using skirmisher cav wants you to do. So I'm doing the epitome of what you shouldn't do, which is send your men out and about. In my defense, I didn't want him to just get his units in here and get whatever kills he could, but I mean, right there, he's just got some nice hit point damage against my men. We did kill a few of his men. I tried to get a charge on him, but again, he's just running, running circles around my cavalry. I'm gonna have to divert all of my cav to try and deal with it. In the meantime, I have finally stopped marching my infantry forward, but we're close enough to the point where if he does a charge, I'm gonna have to sort of commit to it. So let's keep going ahead, see what happens. His skirmisher cav is coming in for another pass at me. He's quite good at controlling them all. He is doing what seems like some blob formation tactics. You see right there how they're all walking all at the same time all of a sudden. He probably didn't mean to do that, I would imagine, but yeah, he's giving orders to all of them at the same time to try and move around my position, which isn't a bad call, but it can result in awkward things like that. So if I noticed that they were only walking, I probably could have got a charge against them, but I'm trying to handle my army being so spread out. And now he's adjusting his army, so whenever there's movement, my eyes are going to be focused over there, of course. And look at this, like, this is like half my army. Not half, but you know, it's a good chunk of my army just pulled off into the middle of nowhere just because he's running cavalry around me. Like, this is really some silly stuff from me, to be honest. He could have been a lot harsher with it and like split up his cavalry too, and then my little blob back here that is being useless wouldn't have really done all that much. They're gonna come in, get some nice javelin throws right here against my men. I'm gonna try to get the charge in, but because he's hitting me with so many jabs, it's unlikely that we're gonna make all that much contact. Whatever we do get, sure, it's nice, but he's killing my men and getting some very nice hit point damage again. Concerning stuff right here. NoScope doing some very good work with his skirmisher cav. 120 men in each of those units as well, so excellent unit to use. This is where I got very lazy and frustrated. Again, completely playing into the tactics of skirmisher cav. I tried to charge out. I have my Thurio spears over here as well, trying to support. But man, looking back at this now, it's kind of embarrassing. I almost don't want to show you guys me playing into his hands like this. I mean, we can still bring it back against his cav, but the engagement so far is absolutely favoring him. As for our infantry, I think he has a slight advantage because he has so many swords. And then there is also this other Brucey Archer I didn't get to mention, but then he has the Seeker Bearers as well. So I would say his infantry are just slightly better than mine. The Ethereal swords aren't really all that amazing. The Ethereal spears are where it's at for whatever reason. We do have some Florax swords though, so our infantry is kind of evenly matched, but I am favoring him overall. He just has a lot of good units that are gonna annihilate mine, like these swordsmen that he has in his second line, his first melee line. They're gonna do very, very well against my Ethereal swords. They are only 200 per unit, but their armor is so high. My Ethereal swords only have 20 armor against their 8. He also has a line of archers, which he's now moving forward to get some free hits on my men. Quite a few archers here. In my opinion, a little bit too many. He's got 5 sets of them. A little bit unnecessary from my point of view. Archers is really hard to get a lot of bang for your buck out in online battles. You're gonna see me though, again, play right into his tactics. Gosh. I'm pushing forward my levy, so he keeps continuing to focus fire on them. I should have waited until all of his archers were focused on them before I moved my main line, but for whatever reason, I'm just pushing it forward here. In my defense, I think this battle occurred at like 1 or 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, so, you know, can't judge me too harshly, but this is why we look at our online replays, to see what mistakes we make, right? So we could get better, but also just have some fun and some good old entertainment. The right hand flank is getting engaged heavily by some javelin fire. He's got his Seeker Bearers combined with the Ethereal Spears. That's a risky combination for me to go up against. Ethereal Spears are excellent at melee combat, and then Seeker Bearers are exactly what's going to penetrate through my main line. I'm getting sick of this though. Patience is at an all-time low after dealing with his horse skirmishers, which are back around yet again. And so you're gonna see me charge forward. But look at all these arrows flying around, man. The arrows are doing very nice, consistent damage against my men. All of his units have javelins that they're thrown. My men are taking some serious hit point damage before they even get into a fight. Look at this. Our Athenian unit is almost gone, the little levy unit. Which is okay. I didn't really expect it to do anything but just take the charge of the enemy. But even here, it's not even taking the charge. It's just busy tripping out. So the enemy gets the charge against us. I screw that up. Which is funny because the right-hand flank did okay. But, oh well, it is what it is. Florax swords are having to come in and get involved. They do not get the charge against the Illyrian Ethereal Spears, though. Again, a big mistake on my part. You're going to see me try to plug these holes in the sinking ship with cavalry. You might have seen me do this in the past when we had our, I think it was a 4v4. I did this as well, where I kept my cav in reserve till the very late game, and then I charged the enemy infantry. This time though, on this 1v1, it's looking very tough. I know his archers are getting some serious shots against me. I even send out my general to try and stop them, just because I'm starting to realize how devastating they're being. And I know my general is an amazing unit, should get some good kills on the charge. Over here as well, charging his archers, so we are getting damage done against them, but they don't rout. They actually take it quite well. I was really surprised. So I'm going to try and pull my general away. Before he gets stuck there, he will get some volleys on it, so just being very, very sloppy with a lot of my tactics. I'm playing very much into his hand. Like, look at that charge right there. I recharged my own men, kinda. We did get a bit of a side charge against him, but already his men right here are just charging through my men like it's nothing. 200 men in Ethereal Sword Unit and they're routing. What the hell is that? They've killed 6 guys and they routed so quickly. Like, where is your morale, man? Base morale of 43, not ideal, but I mean, they shouldn't be routing so quickly. That was so surprising to me. I'm not too sure why. He hasn't even used flaming arrows. He did use the Intimidate perk buff. Maybe he used Warcry as well. Wait, no, that's me using Warcry. Never mind. But yeah, essentially my entire first line has already routed. They do have a lot of men in their units, so they will come back from the routing. But man, that's it's not a great start. At least, I shouldn't say my entire first line, but you know, major elements of my first line are routing. These archers are still all back here, just still having free reign, although they should be getting low on ammo. His cavalry is now starting to get caught out by my own, which will help. I don't know how that unit survived. Whew. But he still has 3 more units that are trying to outcircle us, see what they can get done. My men are just getting picked apart, and I can't even keep my general close to give them morale support as well. I'm trying to chase off his general. If I could kill him, that would be really nice, but look at this archer volley coming in. Boom! Smashing into my cavalry. Serious hit point damage being done right here. Elite Athenian cavalry right here just getting picked apart. Look at that. What a waste of cavalry. But I was just really focused on trying to get his general. I saw that he was damaged. I thought, hey, let's try and get it done, but you can see how split up these armies are, these troops, sorry. These units. They're just everywhere. And so I'm trying to micromanage everything all around the battlefield while trying to keep his cavalry at bay. And then it just results in massive blunders, like my cavalry charging out here, getting just a dozen volleys of arrows on them. Just some really major mistakes here on my part. I mean, I would say in my defense, blah blah blah, but there is no defense really. It's just you're seeing a lot of mistakes here. My Furio Spears are doing relatively well, but so are his. So it's going to be even match. He'll probably end up coming out on top. And his cavalry is still here getting involved. Again, my micromanagement's just way off point here, and that's the whole point of using skirmisher cav though. When you do have this skirmisher cav, you can pull out enemy units and make their micromanagement suffer, where normally it isn't too terrible. But my cav is routing over here, he's drawing my cav out over there as well. Just an absolute mess. You can, there isn't even lines of a battle being fought right here. It's just one wrong thing going after another. His general ends up catching up one of my cavalry units on its own. I am trying to charge down and get his unit here. By this point, I know my general did rout already. I'm not sure why my general's still right here. Bit of a bug with the replay there, but my general did get taken out by this point. And you can see my men are just on the brink of routing. It's just not looking good at all. Furio Spears are holding out somehow. I have no idea how they're still going, but this is very much looking like a victory for him. He has his cavalry coming in. I do have men off in the distance trying to come back to the fight, but it's a little bit too little too late at this point. My cav are trying to get charges on the enemy cav, but just sloppy micromanagement of them. I should have set them like a round right there. I'm gonna be pretty harsh on myself in this battle, guys, as you can see. But at the same time, he also had the perfect army to counter mine. His infantry main lines were better. Seeker Bearers a very nice touch. His spearmen were very good at countering my cav and supporting the infantry attack as well. I mean, look at that. They're going to come around 288 men left. How many kills? 80 kills, getting close to 100 now. And his archers ended up performing quite well. I don't know if they got a lot of kills in the end. I mean, 100 kills on a low-tier archer is not bad at all. Another 100 over there, 26 here, 33 there. So, all in all, almost 300 kills on their archers. He probably could have still gotten the same result with just using more Seeker Bearers or whatever, but that's okay. He didn't know what sort of units I would bring, and as you can see, that's where the writing on the wall is. We're coming down to the last 20 seconds of the replay. My general, like I said, was dead by this point, so most of my units were on the brink of routing. And it's just GG's by this point. He did very, very well in dismantling my formation. He pulled me out. I completely played into his tactics. I'm not really sure why I did, but that's how you can see how powerful skirmishing cav can be if your opponent can play into it. And to be honest, even if I didn't, he still would have just been harassing me, picking me apart, because I didn't have long range skirmishes. If I had just 1 or 2 slinger units, that would have been enough to do some serious damage against these units, and I should have been more aware of the Illyrian roster, so that way that didn't happen to me. But it did. GG's to my man NoScope. Appreciate the online battle. I do have a few more online battles with me and him, so I will post those out in the coming weeks and whatnot. But anyway, let's go to the statistics screen very quickly, and then we'll end it there. Alrighty everyone, here we are. We have a Pyrrhic victory apparently, although I do not believe that. They had a decisive victory in my opinion. NoScope did really good against me. As you can see on the left hand side, the Athenian roster, my spearmen did pretty solid, all getting around 100 kills or more. That's the Thurio spears for you. I don't know why, but they're just so friggin' good, man. They're a little bit too good. They do so much better than the Thurio swords in most cases, in my opinion. And this case was no different. My Thurio swordsman over here just got demolished, all getting less than 50 kills for the most part. My skirmishers are pretty much pointless as well. My Athenian little levy throwaway infantry didn't really play much of a role. So that's 4 units out of my roster that were pretty much pointless. I probably shouldn't have even bothered. I mean, I didn't have much money, so that's why I got these cheap guys, but I mean, yeah, they almost weren't even worth it. And then we have some more thorax swords up here. 140 kills is okay, 87 not good enough. And then my cavalry, the Tarentines, they just got pretty much demolished. My general did okay, about 100 kills, but I need more than that in a fight like this. And then my other 2 sets of cavalry got just over 100 kills each. Not bad, but not good enough yet again. We look at his army on the right hand side. His swordsman did amazing. 200 kills, 300 kills. Just incredible. He then had the Seeker Bearers, both getting around 200 kills each. Then he had 4 sets of Thurio Spearmen, all getting 100 kills each. He then had the 5 sets of archers, a combined total of around 300 kills or so. Yeah, around 300. That's a lot of units to devote to just getting 300 kills. So again, he could have probably just gone for like 1 or 2 archers and used their flaming shot to make my units rout even faster, and had more infantry. But it worked. I can't criticize it too much, right? It's just a suggestion, or my line of thinking at least. His cavalry didn't even get many kills at all. Isn't that hilarious? Because his cavalry is probably one of the biggest reasons he won that fight. But the movement of the cavalry was so vital and so important. It was just enough to make it so my army was just split apart very early on. So mad props to him for using his cav so well. And it goes to show that skirmisher cav picking apart your army doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting a lot of kills. It just means that they're pulling apart your army, your strategy. Literally pulling your men apart, but not even killing them. He was dissecting my army essentially, so he did a really good job with just these units. If he didn't have all this cav, I would have been able to better utilize my cav potentially. And perhaps counter his heavy infantry, which I knew he had. I know the Ardiaei has some pretty good swordsmen and seeker bearers and whatnot, but yeah, I was not expecting his cav to be so dominant, which is funny because they're very cheap compared to mine. His general did fine. Yeah, his infantry didn't really have any issues at all. They just carved through my front line, while his skirmishers pulled away my support units, my cavalry and my spears. So GG's to him, completely dismantled me. And I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing these 2 factions. They aren't factions you see every day in online battles. Please comment down below what factions you would like to see in future online battles. But until then, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.